Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll start in a few minutes. We'll just allow everyone to settle in. We'll take a few minutes to see the numbers rising on YouTube via the stream. As you can see, we have some special guests with us today. We have Hilaga and Mom. Say hi, guys. We can see you on camera.
Hi.
That's great. I'm going to start my presentation, the deck now, but we'll still take a few more minutes to get started. Okay, so this is the deck we'll be showing in today's session. Let's see, how's it going in YouTube? Wonderful. We have so many people watching now. And the chat is very lovely. It's great to see everyone saying hi. Hello to everyone around the world. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us and Happy New Year. We hope 2021 started off very well for you. Okay, so I'll start off slowly, still allowing people to join us and settle in. So thank you very much for joining us today. I've said it a few times and I'll probably say it a few more times during this session because we really appreciate the fact that you're here with us today. My name is Anat and I'm from the communities team. I'm truly honored to be here with you all who took the time from your busy schedules to join us for this fun and exciting session. We all hope your new year started wonderfully. So while we make sure everyone is settled in, we'll start with a few housekeeping notes for this session. While looking at awesome photos of fun things that you, the community, did in 2020. So first housekeeping note, this session is being recorded. And next message. Many of you have submitted questions beforehand through the form we published. That form was closed a few days ago, and it is now open again for about 20 to 30 minutes. Please feel free to further submit your questions through that form now. We'll now share the link. You see the link in YouTube in the chat and the description box below. And one last general comment is that after this session, we'd love to hear your thoughts through the survey. The survey is also in the description box below here on YouTube. Okay, those are the general notes for the session. So before we move on to introducing today's speakers, we'd like to thank you for everything you did in 2020. It's strange to say that, but 2020 was a good year together. With all its surprises, you still showed up for our many online events and meetups. You took part in important map raids and helped your local businesses, and some of you even met on virtual Waze cafes. We hope to have an even better 2021 together, and maybe you'll also be able to meet face-to-face at some point. Who knows? So moving on to our speakers. We sure are lucky to have these wonderful speakers here today. This session is dedicated to the Waze management, answering your questions. We'll be hearing from Hila Roth, the community's global group manager, Guy Berkovich, director of Waze engineering, and Noam Bardina, our chief Wazer. Other staff members and the beloved communities team is also here with us today, and we might hear from some of them as well as we go along. So before I hand over the mic to Noam, here's what we have planned for the next hour. We'll start by hearing from our dear Chief Wazer, then move on to sharing our responses to the questions you submitted beforehand. And then, depending on how much time we have left, we'll take some time to answer your questions, the questions you're submitting now during this session. To submit a question, I'm reminding you, please access the same form as before. The link is in the chat. Thanks, team, for putting it there. It's in the description box below. Go to the forum and submit any questions you want our speakers to answer in the later part of this session. You have about 20 to 30 minutes to do so, since we will be closing that form before we start answering it. So once more, if you'd like to submit a question, please go to the questions form using the link in the chat box. At the end, we'll take a few minutes for a summary. And that's it for the agenda. That's also it for me from now. I'm honored to call to the floor our dear Chief Wazer, Noam Balin. Noam, take it away.
Well, hello, everyone. I don't know if we need that slide up. I don't know if it's actually helping. Thanks. So, hello, everyone. As you know, this will be my last time on this side of the camera. All right. Next time, I'm going to be on your side of the camera. And it's a very kind of emotional stage for me. And I've been with Waze since 2009, right? We've gone through some really amazing ups and downs and challenges. And I think if you take a step back, which I've been doing a lot lately, looking at what we've all accomplished together, I think there's something here that's much more important than specifically what we're doing at Waze. You know, when we think about the challenges that the world has today, these challenges are not something that an individual, company, government, person can solve. If you think about climate change, if you think about COVID, if you think about traffic, if you think about all these different challenges, they really require cooperation on a completely different scale than we've seen before, between people and employees and companies and governments and volunteers and a whole wide range, and international companies working together and people working together. And to me, Waze is very much a kind of beacon of hope that humans can do amazing things together, and that we are not just rational economic actors, as traditional economic theory would say, but we actually are humans who get along or are used to living and working in communities for the history of evolution to the last sort of 100 years. We've been we do have the ability to cooperate and to work for common good. And to me, Waze really is kind of an example of that. And as I said, I don't know of many other examples where really you get that level of cooperation between so many different types of people, organizations, countries, languages, etc., all in a common mission. And to me, this is the thing I'm taking away from Waze and I'm the most excited about. And this is also the thing I'm most worried about going forward. I'm not so much worried that anything will happen. I know you on the one hand, and Guy, Anat, Hila, and so the Waze side on the other hand, are going to obviously continue this going forward. But I think it's up to all of us to make sure that we continue this kind of miracle of Waze forward and continue to take it forward, because it's going to be up to everyone on this call to make that happen and make it stay. And I think the opportunities we have to actually help our fellow citizens, our fellow employees, etc., is not obviously very high in everyday life. And this is one of those kind of unique opportunities to do this. I think what you as our community members do is really amazing. It's sort of magical in that sense. And to me, at least, it reaffirms my belief in humanity and in our ability to really conquer complex tasks and challenges together. And so I see Waze very much as kind of a beacon, again, in this world about what can happen when people, work together and put aside their petty differences, focusing on the big things that unite us. So I'd really like to thank everyone for everything you've done to make Waze what it is. I know in the past I have annoyed many of you with our product decisions and our priorities, and that's fine. We're never going to agree on everything. We're never going to agree on everything. But I think the important thing is that we know how to disagree with each other and understand each other, even if we don't agree on things. I think the best example is our prioritization of features. We have hundreds and hundreds of features that are all submitted by super smart people. So these are smart features that should happen and make sense. And at the same time, we have a limited amount of resources, and we have to make these decisions about what do we prioritize. And I do think that we all have the same mission, but we might see differently about what is more important at any given moment. But that tolerance of each other and that understanding that we disagree is really, I think, what holds together this community and this initiative the way it does. And what you people have done is really, really sort of unprecedented in the ability to cooperate and work together, but also in the product. You know, we've got tens of millions of people a day, you know, hundreds of millions of people a month coming together to use what you created, right? They're using the data that you created, and they trust you to have put in the right information, the right data, making the right decisions. And that trust is the most valuable thing at Waze. When people ask me, what am I the most proud of at Waze? I really think it has to do with the brand, right? A brand is kind of the promise something has to its customers or employees or users. But every day you're tested on that brand. Are you actually delivering against this promise? And I think what you've shown again and again is that we are delivering against this promise. And Waze does have the most accurate data, the most up-to-date data. And more than that, people trust the work you do. They trust it blindly. They will follow Waze blindly, knowing that you've done the job of putting in the right information and they can trust this. Now, this is not trivial. This is not something we should take lightly, especially in these days where nobody trusts anything. That uniqueness of Waze is really that trust. And it's up to all of us to make sure that that trust goes on and that we continue to grow and expand it. So with that, I think we're going to start opening up the questions. Feel free to add in questions, as Anat said, directly into the forum. And let's get going.
Okay, thank you very much, Noam, for those insightful and inspiring words. We're gonna do a few more words about that at the end, but it's gonna be a different Waze without you. So it's now time to answer your questions, dear community members. Everything you submitted beforehand. Quick reminder at this point, please submit your questions through the form. The link is in the chat box. You have about 15 to 20 minutes to submit your questions. We'll be closing that form to new questions before we start answering it. Okay, everyone. All right, let's go. First question. The first question is for Noam. Maybe you'll have something else to add here. This question is from Icarusem from Colombia. Why are you retiring from the Waze leadership, from the executive leadership of Waze? How has Waze affected your daily life?
So I get asked that question a lot now that I announced that I'm leaving. And to me, the question is not why am I leaving? The question should be, why did I stay so long? Right? Usually when people sell their companies to large conglomerates like Google, they end up leaving very, very quickly. And to me, there are a few things on that. One is that Google really gave us the maximum flexibility and independence to continue our mission. And I believe strongly in our mission and what we're doing. And so for me, being part of this going forward, whether my board is made up of Google employees or it's made up of investors, doesn't really matter, right? What matters is what we're doing and the mission we're on. And that's what it kind of prompted me to stay for 7 years, right? 7 years post the acquisition. No, at the same time, I've been at Waze now for 11 years. There are other things that I want to do. And more than that, I think that Waze is at a point now where I am not as crucial as I was in the past, and Waze can live and prosper beyond me. And so I think it's kind of normal after 11 years at a place, after going through the acquisition, about being part of Google, et cetera, to ask, do you want a Google career or do you want to build something new? And I think for me, it's to build something new. How has Waze affected your daily life? And as I said in the beginning, in many ways, Waze has reaffirmed my belief that at the core, humans are good. And I know this sounds a little bit kind of too big and too crazy, but it's true. I mean, we're in a world today that's so cynical, with so few examples of the amazing things humans can do together. That is a very important example for me, and I'm taking that forward when I think about what I do next, and I think about kind of where the world is going. Is that fundamentally most people, when given the opportunity, will do the right thing. And again, especially these days, that's not an obvious thing. So I think that's the biggest effect it's really had on my daily life.
Okay. Thank you very much, Noam. Moving on to the next question. This is a question for Guy. What's going to change about Waze now that Noam is stepping down?
So it's an interesting question. I was just thinking about it in the last, I think, year. So thank you now for letting me thinking about this a year. So first of all, in the first 3 quarters, we will have somebody to blame that is not in Waze. This is great. But seriously, we were actually asking the same question, the highest management of Google, and Noam actually introduced to the board of directors in Google, and they actually gave us an assurance that they are going to continue and support Waze as it is, and continue and support the brand as it is. So I'm hoping not to let down Noam, and that we will continue with the way we are managing Waze and with this legacy, and of course committed to the community and the users, because Waze is all about the community and the users.
Okay. Thank you very much, Guy. We have another question for you very related to this one. What's the company focus for 2021?
So I think Noam has touched it a little bit. Our mission statement hasn't changed, actually. This is still, we want to eliminate traffic altogether. And the strategy together is to be the community-based, actually, navigation application, and with a kind of the community transportation as a service program. So we are going to continue and empower our users, our community, our partner, cities all over the world in order to have the most accurate data and the local data for everyone. In the end of the day, we want to make sure that the infrastructure is used much better and much more efficiently. And this is what we are going to continue and do by core Waze and, of course, carpool.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our next question is from Noam again, and the askers are Pox Online from Germany and Shael from Spain, asking about Europe. Is there a plan to make Waze more attractive in Europe?
So first of all, I think Waze is very attractive in Europe, but we do have plans to make it more attractive. And one of the things that we're planning to do in 2021 is actually roll out more local people and local control within Europe. And so that, there are a lot of local things happening in specific countries that we don't really get to deal with today because things are very centralized in the US. And our idea now, we want to begin pushing a lot of the control into the regions, into LATAM and Brazil on one side, into the EU and EMEA sort of on the other, as we build out local operations. And so I'm hoping that will allow you to get more access and also some kind of much more local flavor in the things that we do there. In terms of kind of core areas we're focusing on in Europe, so obviously France is the largest market in Europe, but there's going to be a lot of investment in the UK, there's investment in Spain and other countries in Europe that we want to see them grow. And there's also going to be a bigger focus on functionality and features needed within Europe, right? Well, obviously, some things in Europe are different than the rest of the world, and we want to make sure that we provide that local experience like we do anywhere else.
Okay. Thank you very much, Noam. We have another one for you, coming from Chris Campa from Mexico. What is the plan to expand Carpool to continue contributing to the environment by increasing the use of the application?
So, Carpool was our biggest casualty of COVID within Waze. When it comes to core usage, we've managed to get the usage back up to where it was in some countries before COVID. Obviously, now everyone's going into second or third lockdowns, and so that has a huge implication. But the biggest implication we've seen on Carpool has been the fact that the users who were using Carpool before COVID, right, were primarily early adopters, sophisticated technology people, or users, and many of them are actually working from home and have been for the last year, and probably will continue deeply into 2021. And so we've seen the usage of Carpool really drop off dramatically. Originally, we were thinking about rolling out Carpool into Europe this year, and we're kind of delaying that because the core service right now, people are just not driving. They're just not going to work. At the same time, some people are driving. It happens not to be the people who carpooled with us, but other people. And that's a lot of the focus right now, specifically around essential workers, right? Essential workers who have to do their work in their office and can't work from home, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's government services and emergency response services. And so what the team is working on now is really to try and understand what their needs are, which are very different than the needs of more sort of tech employees and IT employees, right? These people work a lot of times in shifts, not whenever they want. They show up. They may not have identifiers in their office because they might not have an email from the office. They have other constraints. They might work in several different locations or several different jobs. So we're spending time now with a small number of big employers, really talking to their employees to really understand the needs there and how we can shift our product to satisfy the employees of the people that are driving today, not those that drove before COVID. And that's kind of the focus for 2021. It's to find what are those workers' needs, how can we make sure that our product solves those needs, and obviously seeing it rolling out and growing within 2021 before we expand beyond that. So that's really going to be the focus of 2021, making sure that we can serve the people that are driving today, that have to drive and have to be in the office.
Okay, thank you very much, Noam. Here's another one for you. I think you should run all different moods all over the world. For example, Christmas is celebrated by many outside the countries where you offered Christmas mood. This question is from Amiga6 from Sweden.
Well, you're absolutely right. Period. Okay, no response. The idea of recording our own prompts is something that we haven't really done that often. And this was kind of a last-minute decision to try to doing it. And we put it together ourselves, and it was very, very successful. We were surprised how successful it was. And at the last minute, we tried to roll it out in some other countries. Originally, we were just going to do it in English speaking, but we're trying to roll out a few other countries to make it happen. Obviously, we weren't. It wasn't planned and executed the way we would have liked to because it was done last minute. Our goal is to really be at a point where every month, according to what's going on in different countries, we can actually help deliver more fun experiences like the moods, some of them globally, right? And that's obviously the Christmas should have been a global product, but again, we just weren't ready for it. Next Christmas, I'm sure it will be. But there are a lot of local events happening in specific countries where moods and voices would actually provide a lot of interesting kind of experiences. And that's part of why, as I said, we want to build up the teams within Europe to be able to run their own campaigns. So if we're talking about Sweden, right, I forget the name, but you have that phenomenal celebrations that happen in the summer when it's an all-night, when the sun is out all night or most of the night, right? You've got local experiences that are specific to yours, and it would be very, very interesting to be able to have that as part, or have the flexibility to offer fun and interesting experiences for that country. So this is definitely the direction we're going. Christmas next year, I can guarantee, will be much more global. But also we want to make sure that we do provide those components. And yes, I do see in the chat this issue of the UK and Europe. I'm sorry, I'm old school. Brexit still hasn't clicked in to me. You're right, the UK is not Europe anymore. So sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, Noam, for that. The next question is from Guy. The question is from Crazy Jab from the US. He's asking, are there plans to reduce the amount of edits required to level up?
So the short answer is yes. Actually, Hila, together with the entire team that manages the communities in Waze, and I saw actually your feedback on this team during the last year, and I see that they are doing a great job, and we are improving, although there are always going to be some kind of argues and so on, and this is great. So this year, we are going to go over the entire permissions for the new editors, and we will keep in mind that in the end of the day, we want to keep the map and see that only professional work is done, but we do want to resolve and help new editors to be able to edit, and in the longer run, we want to be able to also add this feature like suggest an edit, where something is and should be locked for higher rank editor. But for the low rank editors, we are going to review it and change the permissions for the new editors.
Okay, thank you, Guy. This is a question for Noam. Sindel from the Czech Republic is asking why the category of charging stations is not logically displayed. There is also no electricity in the preferred fuel.
So
Noam?
So as an electric car owner, this is a feature that's very close to my heart, and it really is an obvious feature that we need. There's no question about that. It's just it boils down to priorities. We have several hundred of these features, and you're going to mention a few of them, I'm sure, in these questions that obviously we should do. There's no question. So the question of, do we have the resources to do it now versus other things that are going on as well? So it's not that the feature is wrong here, and it's a feature that obviously has to happen, but at the same time, it's a question of when does it get into the production process and get built. And a lot of these things seem very simple when you look at it from the outside. What's the big deal just to add another field for electricity? But our system, our infrastructure is so complex today and is so big today that every little change has a huge impact on a lot of different things and a huge risk and stability. So for those of you who've been here for a while, if 6-7 years ago we could be discussing a feature and a month later it could be live, today it's much more complicated than it was, and it's a function of scale and just the size and complexity of the system. So one of the challenges that Guy has been working on very strongly in 2020 and into 2021 is simplifying the architecture and really enabling the engineering team to run much faster on features without impacting the wider architecture. And that's a long-term project that has started and is rolling out many different parts of the network. And I do think that maybe a year from now, it's going to be much easier to write and roll out features than it is now.
Okay, thank you, Noam. Here's another one from you, coming from Leonard from the Netherlands. I hope I pronounced that correctly. When will time-based speed limits be available?
So time-based speed limits, I think, falls into the same kind of category, right? It's something that we definitely want to do and plan to do. I'm just trying to remember, do we have it? I don't think it's on the current list, right? We are planning to do it. We're planning it, but we don't have a current date of when we're doing it, etc. But obviously, this is one of the things, as the way we kind of release features, we release the core feature first, and then we get a lot of feedback about all the edge cases, places where things don't work out with that feature, different countries, the way it's implemented differently, and then we start iterating on the feature to solve these kinds of situations. So one of the things that came out, of course, is the time-based speed limits when we came out with speed limits, right? So that's a great example of another one of these features that are on the list and a plan to be released. In this specific case, unlike the electric cars, which is not in planning stage right now, this is definitely in planning stage right now, and I can probably commit, well, I guess I won't be here if I'm wrong, so I can easily commit that it'll be rolled out in 2021.
Okay, thank you, Noam. This next question is for a guy that is going to stay with us, we hope.
So we have to deliver on it. It's more complicated.
The EV station are going to be delivered. We are doing a contest between two teams. Let's see who wins.
That sounds good. Okay, Guy. And Doug from the US is asking, will there ever be a solution to gas prices? As it is now, users are requesting to delete places because they are getting false gas prices in the app. It caused many headaches for us in the editor's side.
Yeah, so like many other issues of data, first of all, we acknowledge here the problem. I actually got a question to the North American editors in the crowd. We actually opened the message for the users when they are driving into a gas station to ask them and update the price, and this was actually closed in North America. So I wonder if, since we opened it a few months ago, you will see less errors on that. But in the bottom line, that we are striving to get the best data. We are searching for better feeds. And all of you knows that when we are finding a feed, sometimes we have issue with that and the data is incorrect with that feed. So we're going to continue and seek for new feeds. I don't think it's the role of the editor to update the gas station pricing, and it cannot scale. And it keeps changing on a daily basis in some areas and with different gas stations. So we want this wisdom of the crowd, and we want the users to update the price. And we are going to continue and think about a better usability that will reduce this problem. And in parallel, we're going to work with as many feeds, accurate feeds that we can find to put this data into our map.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Guy. This is another question for you, from a user that we decided that the username is pronounced Candy Cajun from the US. It's about routing. If I go to the route options page and select one of the 3 given routes, then at any given point in my drive, if I do not follow the exact route, Waze seems to try anything to get me back to the selected route, even if it means turning around and adding minutes to my travel time. Can this behavior be adjusted to be a bit more tolerant of route deviation?
So I'm glad that I got the question, that I got some good news. I deserve it also sometimes. But I think that the people that are already using the beta can see a much improved navigation system, and I can see it in my version. So yes, we are working to improve all our navigation algorithms, and it's already being felt in Israel when we are testing it first, and in the beta community. So I'm committed, and we are committed to continue and put a lot of effort into this asset. The routing, it also relates to everything we do in Waze, including carpool and ads and everything. So I'm sure that you are all going to feel a much better experience and usability with our routing ETA and everything relates to that. I personally presented it in last year meetup. So yes, it's finally happening.
Okay, that's good news.
I just want to add to that. What I was talking about, the upgrade the guy's been doing to the infrastructure. So the routing team was the first one to have started this new project, and there's tremendous amount of improvements coming out now on routing and ETA, but also building out the infrastructure so we can personalize everything. So you can see the personalized ETA that's coming out, and we really want our routing to take each individual specifically to that person driving at that time on this route, and basically take their preferences in mind. So there's a lot that's going on there. Most of the investment last year has been in infrastructure, so you haven't really seen much of it, but there's really tremendous things coming in 2021.
That's great news. Thank you. Okay. Next question is for Hila. How to track, report Waze map editor bugs and suggestions. This question is from Horizon 911 from the Czech Republic.
Okay, so as you can see, there are 3 relevant barcodes here in this slide, which we will also send in the follow-up email after this event. So the first one related to the WME suggestions, that you can add all your suggestions and everything can be tracked on our user voice platform. The second part is for the WME bugs that can be reported in the WME beta bugs forum, and that can be tracked as well. But please notice that this section is restricted to testers, beta testers, only for the WME. If you're interested to join, please contact your community leadership. We'll be happy to add you, and then you can see also this section. The third bullet, the third part of it is the public issue tracker that is open to everyone. So this covers everything in this question. And again, we'll send all the links that you need so everyone can find it later.
Okay, thank you, Hila. This next question is for Noam. Rafa Sinton from the Dominican Republic is asking, when will you enable a neighborhood field for the Waze addresses in the WME and Waze map editor?
So that's another example of a very important feature, which right now is not being prioritized. And long-term, obviously, it will. But one of the things that get looked at is how often do people try and make these requests. And so it's not something that affects a wide swath of Waze users, but it's definitely something we should do, similar to the electric cars, similar to a lot of these other features. So there isn't a date on it. No one's actually working on this right now, but long-term, it's definitely on that list of things that we should do.
Okay, thank you, Noam. Our next question is for Guy. Would it be possible to get weather alerts on the screen or show radar on the map? The question is from A.B. Lake from US.
So we are planning to get more data, and specifically on severe weather alerts, and this is part of a bigger effort of the planning and the local and the feeds. As usual, I can't commit to specific timeline, but I'm telling you loud and clear that this is on our plate and in our planning.
Okay, thank you, Guy. Noam, this question is for you. What about providing management of multiple cars? This question is from Yossi Benz from France.
Imagine of what? Multiple cars.
Yes.
I think it falls back into the same list of things that are important and make sense, but are not high priority. So the amount of people that actually move between cars is not a large percent of Waze users. Obviously, if you're the one that it's happening to, it feels pretty annoying. For example, if my wife has a gas-powered car and I've got an electric-powered car, and if I happen to drive in her car, that means different things. But it's not something that we right now are working on, and it's not high on the priority.
Thank you, Noam. The next question is for you as well. H. Michelle from Denmark and Captain Chaos from the UK are asking, do you already have a plan on when to release adding multiple stopovers to a journey?
So multiple stops is something that, as you've seen in the beta, et cetera, we're playing with. It's part of a bigger initiative, which has to do with planning in general, right? When we think about where we want users or the connection between users and Waze going forward, we would like them to meet Waze earlier than when they step into the car, right? Once they step into the car, it's kind of too late to make a lot of decisions. We can tell them sit in traffic here, sit in traffic there. If we can meet them earlier, an hour before, 5 hours before, a day before, 10 minutes before, we can now begin recommending what time they should leave. We can begin load or time shifting traffic. We can offer them different places to stop and allow them to plan their routes better. So once they're driving, they don't need to do that. And this is a big initiative that Ron is working on around planning and pre-drive sort of capabilities. And so it will be part of that offer, but I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. But I think from what I've seen so far on the planning initiatives, I think this is something very significant that can allow us to gain access to really influence what users do in a much better way if we have the time and if we have the certainty about where they're going. Of course, if we know ahead of time where they're going, we can recommend people to pick up with carpool. We can recommend the right gas stations to stop in, or we can do all kinds of recommendations once people are used to meeting us before they get in the car and not only once they've stepped into the car.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good. Guy, this question is for you. Can you add information regarding cost trip before starting? and the ability to recall journeys and designate them as business ones. Yossi Benz from France and Captain Chris from the UK are asking.
So first thing first, thanks to all editors around the globe. We finally have the toll pricing. So if you have a toll price road on your way, you can see the price estimation and the different routes and how much will it cost to you. So this is something we are already supporting. We are going to add different kinds of statistics, and you are going to get it. If you are running the beta version, you can already get into the privacy and go to see your history, right? At the moment, we are not supporting anything else, like how much will it cost us in terms of fuel or others, but we are looking into adding more statistics, as I said, and showing as part of the start state everything that relates to your drive.
Okay.
I will just add that that's a good example when we think about personalization, right? If the ride costs you $10 through the toll and saves you 15 minutes, is it worth it? Well, there's no right answer for that. That's a personal answer that different people have different opinions on. These are the kind of things that long term we want to be able to learn and to influence kind of how we route based on your personal preferences. But obviously that requires a lot of infrastructure changes that are being worked on. And as I said, the personalized ETA is the first step, but these are the kind of directions we want to get to in the future.
Okay. Thank you two very much. Before I move on to the next question, I'll just mention that we will be closing the questions forum in just a few minutes, and we might not have a lot of time to answer your live questions as our question time ends in a few minutes. So please take that into account. Okay, our next question is for Hila. Could you please consider maintaining and improving the Waze reporting tool? And Loan, the MBPRD from France, is asking.
Cool name. The answer is yes. We're very, very happy to share that we are revising these days our partners tools and everything regarding the portal, and we're working on different tools, including this reporting tool. So we don't have a concrete date yet, but it's certainly planned for 2021. So please stay tuned. We will keep you posted.
Thank you, Hila. Another question from Leonard from the Netherlands for Noam. When will preferred lanes be available?
So 100% they will be released on the 1st of February. Considering that I'm leaving on January 31st, why don't I commit for other people? And so preferred lanes is a classic example. We launched lanes in general, and obviously this is a next step where we want to be able to recommend which lane to be in based on the next turn and the next intersection, right? And to optimize the lanes we recommend for you to be in across your whole route. So this is actually a much more complicated feature than it might sound, and it's definitely something we're going to work on. But I don't have a date. I can guarantee it won't be on February 1st. Let's start with that. But we don't know exactly when it's going to come out. But it's definitely something that's being worked on. And when we think about the value of lanes, right, it goes much more into those kinds of things about being able to optimize everything. And you could reach a point where we'll actually learn the speed of lanes and be able to recommend which lanes move faster, right? But these are all kind of future things that are being worked on. But in general, preferred lanes I don't have a date on it, but it's definitely on the roadmap.
Okay, thank you, Noam. Friends, everyone, please note that the questions form is now closed. Moving on to the next question. This is the question for Guy from Yossi Benz from France. A customized 3D object with a real car in the 3D map would be interesting.
So it's also related to some of the infrastructure. So I'm very happy to say that we've just finished some of the infrastructure in the mobile, which is in the iOS, and next thing is in the Android. So I think it's a cool idea, and I know I have some friends with the product, so I'm going to take it with them. And yes, I want to see some new 3D. We already considered few of them with few developers in the mobile, and now that we are going to implement the Metal, this is the new infrastructure, we're going to try and do some cool stuff.
Sounds fun. Thank you, Guy. And Hila is going to take our last pre-submitted question for today. This is a question from Yossi Vance from France. He is asking or saying it would be nice to add gaming trophies.
So yeah, I'm also here with great news that we are currently working on a few plans to refresh our gamification. Some of you already heard about some of the plans. The ideas are still in progress. This is why we didn't share something official yet, but we're hoping to see all of the changes and all the plans in the upcoming weeks, month, and we will certainly have a dedicated session for the community office hours for the gamification once we have it. So once again, also for that, stay tuned. We will keep you updated, but you will hear about that very soon. Not soon, but very soon.
I'd like to add to that the first release of this new gamification will seem very small and insignificant, but behind the scenes, what we're building is really a platform that will allow us to be able to roll out features easily, change things, have all kinds of different gamification components according to activities and different things. There's kind of a lot in there. So it's like an iceberg. The majority of the work is not something you're going to see. And when the first release comes out, many of you will be disappointed. It'll be a very small thing. We have to understand that behind it is a whole platform that will enable us to do a lot more.
Okay. Thank you, guys. That was the last of our pre-submitted questions. And now we only have 4 minutes for live questions. So in order for us to see these questions on the deck, I'm going to exit present mode. And now I'm going to go back to it with my deck refreshed. And let's see what's our first live question. Okay. H. Marian from Israel or Canada is asking, first of all, wishing Noam success in his future career adventure. Can shed some light on how the last year changed ways in its view of the future navigation world and how it impacts the application development and direction? And this is a question for Noam.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear enough. Can you repeat it?
Sure. So H. Marian from Israel and Canada is asking about how Waze has changed the view of the future navigation world and how it impacts the application development and direction.
Yeah. So, when we started the year, right, we had a very different plan about how this year was going to go. And for some reason, we didn't predict COVID happening. That's definitely a mistake of planning on our side. As soon as COVID happened, we had to replan because everything changed. We lost 70% of the traffic on Waze. Carpool, we lost like 90% of the traffic. And obviously, the world had changed a lot. We tried to make some design assumptions, like what should we assume the year is going to be, and optimistically, we assumed that kind of June things would be back, and by September everything will be back to what it was. Obviously, we were radically wrong on that. But as the year progressed, we began seeing new trends in the way people were driving, which pretty significantly impacted our roadmap and our thoughts going forward. We saw a huge drop in commuting. I mean, we've gotten the net volume of rides, of drives is kind of back close to where it was before COVID. Again, before these latest round of lockdowns. But the type of drives people were doing was very different. So if in 2019, most of our drives were home and work, people commuting to work. In 2020, that commuting saw the most significant drop. And we saw a huge increase in long distance drives. Drives that you might have flown in the past or taking a train or a bus, you're suddenly driving because you don't want to be surrounded by other people. Second is one-off drives. As people are not driving to work and are stuck at home, they're doing a lot more errands in their car than they did in the past. And so we're seeing these kinds of unique situations happening, and that impacted our roadmap in a few different ways. One of them really is this idea of investing more in longer distance drives and functionality that you need for longer distance drives. The other has to do with planning. As we're seeing people doing a lot of these drives, etc., it makes a lot more sense to give them tools to plan ahead of time so that they can leave at the right time, they can go to the right place, they can stop along the way for fuel, they can pick up someone in a carpool. On the carpool side, the impact is much bigger because the fundamental assumption of the carpool service was that you're commuting. You're driving home and work in the same route or same directions. And today, people are not doing that at all. The people that are driving, the essential workers, are actually driving to all kinds of different locations, different types of jobs, different hours of the day, different things. And so a lot of the changes that you're seeing in how we're kind of developing into 2021 comes from this understanding that the core patterns that people drive in are different. How many of those will come back once COVID, I don't know, this is a question, will COVID be over or will it be less, right? And that's a kind of way beyond my expertise. The question is, once though people get more or less back to everyday life, what of those functionalities will remain and what will change? And that's what we're not sure, right? To give you a simple example, I don't believe we're going to go back to 5-day work weeks in most companies, like work weeks in the office. I think what we've seen from remote working is that there's a lot of value in it. It's not a solution for everything. I know about myself, I'm not planning to fly as much as I used to in the past, right? I'm planning to do a lot more things remote. So all kinds of these changes will move forward beyond. But our design assumption for 2021 is that overall it's going to look very similar to 2020, not to 2019. And that's why we made these changes in kind of the direction we're going. Another big investment we made in 2020 was going much deeper on our infrastructure, assuming that this year less people are driving, et cetera. We want to make sure that when they come back to drive, they get a much better experience. And so a lot of the functionality that came out this year, think about lanes, right? Think about the revamp we did on reporting, right? All these different things that came out really a function of that.
Okay. Thank you, Noam. We only have time for one more live question. And after that, we promised to share the responses to all the other questions we didn't have time for in a follow-up post. So don't worry if we haven't had time to answer your question. So I was told that the last question we should reply is this one for Guy. Lost in My Maps from Australia. Hi, Brendan is asking, 2020 was a year focused on infrastructure upgrades at Waze. How well did we do?
So the short answer that we did great. In some areas, we even exceeded my expectation, which were very high. Some of the reason we exceeded them is because of COVID. Actually, because of COVID, we could have taken higher risks. Let's take, for example, moving to GCP, which opens for us tons of infrastructure coming from Google, like data science tools and so on. The reason we could do it faster is because we didn't have almost no traffic in a few months. The other infrastructure went also very well, and some of it will also take us to mid-2021. But yes, we did very well.
Okay, thank you very much, Guy. And now I'd like to hand over the microphone to Hila for a short summary.
Okay, hi, so thanks Anat, and hi again everyone. As you all know, we're mentioning today a very, very special event, as it's the last community office hours with our beloved Chief Wazer, Noam. So as you all saw, he came especially to summarize the last year and to open the new year with us, but unfortunately it will be for the last time. So, well, I can't really express in words how much we all appreciate you, Noam. You've been really, really a true leader and such an inspiration for all of us. So before we say goodbye, we wanted to send you off to your new way with a sweet memory that we prepared for you, which is, of course, a surprise. So don't kill me. I know you don't really like surprises. So on behalf of all the communities and the communities team, we wanted to wish you all the best in your new journey. And I'm passing the mic to Guy. Yeah, Guy, you can go now to say a few words.
I just wanted to say I'm sure that this surprise Noam will like, and I actually want to thank also the community. That I remember that Hila and I thought about this movie 2 months ago, and thank you all for your participation. But just I will give Noam to look at the movie because this is something that really comes from the community. This is what is Waze all about, and I saw it, and it's so moving and exciting. So let's see it, and thank you all the community.
Thank you.
When I think of Noam, I think of Waze. I mean, and when I say Waze, it's all the magic around Waze, the magic that makes Waze different from other navigation apps.
Having a vision to gather people behind, it gives you the capability of leadership. That's my first association, I think, of Noam, leadership and vision.
First met Noam at the Global Champ meetup, and I couldn't have met a nicer, more genuine person than what I found in Noam.
One day, I received a phone call from Palo Alto. It was Noam Bardin that wanted to talk with me about some issues related to Waze. From that very moment, we always shared our thought and we always respected each other.
When I think Noam, the image that came to my mind, simplest lines, but is his appearance in the promotional video of the voice recording. I mean, the whole video is incredible, but the image of Noam at the end with those glasses and that hat, this is something really amazing. And I think this shows the spirit of Waze, this spirit that he has been able to give to the whole company.
I'll miss knowing that he's in command and control of an app which he helped create. Because of that passion and because of that desire to see its success in every shape and form, I'll miss that most about Noam.
Because he's been there. He's been there. And more importantly, he's been there and he's had a vision for what he wants Waze to be, what he thinks Waze should be. And I think that's one of the most important qualities, if not the most important quality for a leader, is a good, strong vision.
The capacity to aggregate people to a common task and his loyalty versus all the Waze communities.
And we want to thank him for all his contributions to the Waze app, for building such a great company, and also for continuous contributions to the Waze community.
To be able to make a Waze like a family, but like a family, not just for the workers, but also for us, for the users. I mean, we feel all of us like a family. That's a kind of magic.
You know, I remember how it was 11 years ago when I started. Waze was not much more than a vision in the US. It was just a base map. And to really build it into what it is today, I mean, Waze is a phenomenon and it has been for some time. That takes vision. You have to be able to see the potential in something that's really not there yet. And I think Noam has been a great part in that.
To help make Waze become this behemoth of a navigation app, we all feel this sense of pride every single time a map update occurs, every day.
Bye, Noam, and do not forget all the friends that you met in your Waze years.
We want to wish him the very best, and we want to thank him for all his contributions to the Waze app, for building such a great company. Thank you, Noam, and wish you all the best.
Thank you for all the sleepless nights and all the sleepless flights. Thank you for all of the many, many hours that we know you spent away from your family. God bless you and your family, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
I wish you all the best. I hope that we can find that vision again, and I hope that you can use that type of vision elsewhere.
Thank you for letting us enjoy the dark side. Waze has given us a lot of fun and the opportunity to meet people all around the world. Thanks to you, now we are like a big family. I wish you all the best in your new life. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. I'm going to kind of ruin my macho image with tearing up here, which is actually happening right now. And I'm willing to make this commitment to you. Next time you meet physically anywhere in the world, invite me and I will come so we can say goodbye face to face. Because this has been an amazing journey for me. I'm glad to hear for you, and you're going to take this on forward. It's now your responsibility. I'm handing the reins to you. Thank you so much. That was really, really touching, and I'm hopeful we'll get to see each other face to face soon, and I'll be able to thank you each personally. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you for everyone who participated in this video. Thank you to our dear speakers for taking the time today. And thank you, community members. So great of you to join us today. Please take a minute to fill out the survey to tell us what you thought about this session. It's in the description box below. And we love you and have a great 2021. Thank you for joining us. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.